Tachawika. I'm from Oklahoma City, and best way to describe myself is creative. Back in '92 is whenever we stayed in El Reno, and we had got took away from my mother. I was 10, my little brother was 7, and we had got took away from her back then, and that's whenever my whole life really started was entangled in this revolving door that we call the system, and that's where it started at, and basically I just stayed raised from DHS to DOC, where back in the '90s the economy wasn't so good, so my mama was struggling, and it was just her raising 3 kids, and that's what we was dealing with, and the only thing that I could think of was that I was the youngest but the oldest mentally, and I was basically the man of the house because everybody else had already grew up and moved on their own, and so I was trying to maintain what little bit I could, but I couldn't have no job, so the only thing I could really rely on was the life of crime, and that's how I got initiated into that lifestyle. My mama had passed away in 2007, and whenever she had passed away, I had just basically lost my mind, and I was out of control for quite some time after she passed away, and then the hand of the law got a hold of me and set me down for a minute and gave me some time to think. I caught a robbery charge. And it wasn't like I was out there hunting nobody or robbing nobody. It was just the spur of the moment. And I had lost my temper because of the things that I had going on, all the circumstances in my life that I was dealing with at the time. It just all exploded at once. And whenever I caught the robbery charge, it was like an eye-opener because I had this time to sit down and think about the circumstances that led me up to this situation. And how it affected me was it made me realize who was really in my corner. Whenever everything boiled down to it, who was there for me. They gave me a 10-year sentence. I had to fire my first lawyer because he didn't let me know that the time that I was signing for was 85%, so I withdrew my guilty plea. And whenever I withdrew my guilty plea, they had started my case all the way from preliminary, like day one in court. And I was sitting in the county for 15 months with no bond in Oklahoma County. And I was sitting there with no bond for 15 months. And the only thing I could do was just wait to go to court. And they kept on pushing my court date back. And then I finally got the court, pled guilty to a 10-year sentence. And then I realized, hey, my lawyer he was ineffective. So I fired him. And whenever I did that, they gave me a public defender, and he got me a 10-year split sentence, which I wasn't even eligible for because I already had 3 prior felony convictions. Whenever I went to court, the public defender got me a better deal than my paid lawyer, and he got me a split sentence, 5 in and 5 out. I did the first 5 successfully, got out, did 4 years and 6 months. And then whenever I got back in trouble and caught my gun charge, they didn't give me none of my street credit. They made me do my 5 years in prison, got out, did 4 years and 6 months, caught another charge, and the time I did on the street was no good. They didn't give me no credit. So what they did was made me sit down for 14 years on a 10-year sentence, because my split sentence ain't supposed to be lengthened or shortened through modification. And they didn't give me my street credit and made me go and do the other half of my prison term, which was the other 5, and it's 85%. So whenever I said I discharged from Oklahoma State Penitentiary October 3rd, 2021, and I've been out ever since. But it's wrong because I had to sit down and do 14 years on a 10-year sentence. And that's what really got me mad, because I could have been 4 years ago I could have been home. I mean, it's a lot of bad things that happened back there. I had to go through a lot of things. You know what I mean? Had to do some inhumane things that, hey, it comes with the environment, and you either eat or you starve. And that's the best way I could put it. There was an incident that occurred in Oklahoma County Jail where I was already incarcerated for a weapons charge. And whenever I was sitting my turn waiting for it to go to court on that weapons charge, they had put in the Sunday paper that I was a suspect in a homicide that had happened in Oklahoma County Jail, where Rick Wendell, I believe that's his name, an incident had happened where he had gotten into an altercation, and all the information is conscripted because if they had a case on me for this incident, I would be sitting in the county jail right now. But what happened was they said that he had died from his injuries and he refused all medical attention. It's on Google. You could read it in Google. But whenever he had called his people, he let them know that, hey, look, this is what happened. I don't know what he said or what the conversation was. I was in a whole nother section of the county. Well, whenever I was sitting in the county jail, they had came to me and had me under investigation for this homicide, the first one of that year. And that really right there hindered my whole legal situation, because now they're looking at me like, this man right here, he killed somebody in Oklahoma County Jail. He has his last phone call, he had told his family that he had fell off the top bunk before he had passed away. And I believe that right there is what has stopped David Prater, the leading DA on the case. That's what stopped him from actually putting charges, because he knew that, hey, I'll pull in the phone records too. The only thing that I could say is that I wish the man would have gotten medical attention, like whenever it happened in Oklahoma County Jail. It's the worst county jail in America. Through the condition, the living conditions, the overcrowdedness, the food is nasty, everything in there is just bad. And that's the new county. That's what's sad. It opened up condemned. Whenever I was in there, I was working in the cafeteria, down in the kitchen downstairs. It had mold all the way from the floor to the ceiling, black mold. And they sitting there sliding these trays on this nasty floor with this mold on it that we sitting there having to eat off of. And people sitting there and taking COs hostage because of these circumstances and these living conditions. And it's their problem, though. I mean, they're the one that built these institutions. And I mean, being locked down 7 days a week for 23 hours a day, in cold showers, nasty food, and that does something to a man, you know, that affects you. It brings a part of you out where you didn't even know you had. That's the best way I can describe it. It's really undescribable. You just got to go experience it for yourself if that's the life you're trying to live. But if you ain't, I suggest you go to church and do something with yourself. Because if you ain't gonna make no profit in this lifestyle. What it did, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. It opened my eyes to the filthiness, the corruption, and all the illegal things that is going on behind the screens in the legal system. Because I did 14 years on a 10-year sentence. Where's my justice? You know what I mean? I was told that, hey, I was in investigation on a homicide, and still to this day, any employer that looks me up, anybody who actually was trying to help me, but have trust issues, or they're gonna Google my name or do my research on me, and they're gonna see how this man right here was involved in something serious, and so I don't want to deal with him, which is hindering me from actually obtaining occupation. Because ain't no employer want to employ somebody and put them in front of the store, and whenever they get there and talking to them, one of the customers, oh, I seen him on such and such, and he had a bad case. He had a murder charge, a homicide charge on him. I don't want to. Now that's going to hinder for the business. I mean, and to this day, David Prater, he did not publicly, like he put my name out there for the dirt. He didn't put my name out there to clean it up either. I mean, he slandered and defamated my character. And by any other circumstances, this right here is a lawsuit that I still haven't even pursued yet because I had just got out. And I've been sitting here trying to get my feet under me since I've been home. And this right here, this one incident that has slandered and defamated my character is hindering that. And it's wrong. I'm Native American, and it's even getting worse because now they're losing a lot of their jurisdiction over the whole state of Oklahoma. And this is what I want to, if the system is so right, and whenever it comes to me, whenever I commit the crime, they quick to lock me up. Okay? Now, whenever Oklahoma, they realized that they didn't really own none of this land, right? And all the state taxes that they've been collecting on this federal land, what is that called? By no other means, since 1907, since Oklahoma became a state, the government of Oklahoma has been committing tax fraud. On merchandise, gas, they still collect the state taxes all on the east of Oklahoma. That's tax fraud. You can't, if you go out to Contra, Oklahoma, El Reno, see if they're collecting state taxes out there at the casino. Buy you cigarettes, tax-free. Why over there on that tribal land over there, they're still collecting taxes on tobacco, gas, merchandise, and they're still allowing the people to say, hey, I own this land. What happens to the people who actually bought property and own houses, but it's on reservation land? Who's fraudulent is in that? Who sold that land to them people? That federal land, since 1907, since it became a state, how much corruption has gone on? Now that we know these people right here been incarcerating and confining and executing Native Americans on tribal land in state penitentiaries. So now for all them deaths and incarcerations that we can't go back and fix, who's responsible? Because I know murder, hey, that don't have no statute of limitations. Who suffers for that? You know what I mean? Since all them back then, the federal government don't hold documentations past 10 years. They get rid of it. But the state does. The state got big warehouses for everybody they incarcerated and everybody they executed. And how many of them were tribal members? There's so much corruption that you can't clean this up. Because you got these judges and these DAs, they're invested into these institutions, these large institutions like GEO. They done came up with a whole nother program where these judges can sentence you to their institutions. And it's legal. That's modern day slavery. I don't see any type of way that you can clean that up. Because it's a business. They're not rehabilitating anybody. They're only housing. And it's so bad that only way you can clean it up if you just do away with the whole system as far as the monetary part of it, because there's so many people invested. It's a large corporation and everybody's invested. Judges, lawyers, DAs, fucking presidents, everybody. Guantanamo Bay, GEO, them are the largest private penitentiary people in the United States that's building all these private prisons. And who's invested into them? The people that's putting us in there. I don't think there's anything that really could have prevented me from getting into the system, because the way this Constitution is designed for the Indian to fail. We're supposed to be the burden bearers for the real citizens of this United States. Everybody of non-Caucasian descendants are supposed to be the burden bearers for the white people here whenever they first got here. That's where the Constitution is written. But everything here is, it's designed for us to fail. My whole family involved in the system. It's about all of us. I got brothers and cousins that's in there right now. I got family that ain't never getting out. But since now that this McGirt had been going on, a lot of them is getting like time reduced, or they're going to better institutions, they're going to the feds or whatever, you know what I mean? But that still don't make it right though. I ain't saying that I'm justifying their actions or for what it is to get them into the circumstances, but I'm just saying that by the way the laws are written in this country, the makers are out of line. The one that's upholding it, because they're allowing all this corruption to slip through and they're turning a blind eye. Because either they're associated or they're invested. One or the other. Humans have incarcerated every species on this planet, including itself. And my whole family has witnessed it, all the way from my mom, dad, brothers, sisters, uncles, and all of us have. And they tell me that, hey, by their regulations, that I can't be around felons. So you tell me I can't even sleep over there under my mom's roof because she a felon. My dads and my uncles and my cousins and brothers, they're all felons. So who I'm supposed to be around? What I've learned about this whole felony and non-felony thing is that it's not the felons that you need to watch out for, because we already know that what they're going to do through repetitious behavior. It's the non-felons. How many felons went and shot up a movie theater or blew up something over there and put a bomb somewhere? None. You know why? Because they know what they got coming if they do. It's the non-felons who haven't experienced the corruption. And all my family has had their little taste of the system, I'll say. It's nothing new, because the way they have it designed is for us to fail and to be eliminated. And so they've been going back for generations and generations and generations of my family incarcerating us wrongfully. What brings me peace and happiness since I've been home is spending quality time with my significant other. You know what I mean? Because they took her from me took me from her for so long, and hey, I'm trying to get that back. I've been blessed to make it this far, you know what I mean? Because it been a rough road, and none of it been profitable at all. Southeast 23rd and Central. That's the neighborhood where I grew up in. From the time that I can remember all the way to now, it's like it's home, because that's where I grew up at, my childhood years. It just brings back a lot of memories, because the barbershop over there, Steve, the one that he had died, he used to cut everybody's hair. You can go in there and tell him, hey, look, I ain't got no money. He still fade you up. And how it makes me feel is ecstatic, basically. Because I go over there almost every day.